Hi, today we're gonna try something new. Theft. The concept of the bottom 3 stats is shamelessly stolen from the fine videos from the Tank Museum in Bovington regarding bottom 5 tanks, where they invite some prominent person to select, well, the bottom 5 tanks depending on their view, and give a short reasoning as to why they belong down there in the bottom. As there all, obviously are a lot fewer stats in Kill Team than there are tanks in the world, I suppose that making bottom 5 would be rather ridiculous, so I'll stop at 3. And also kind of apparent is that I have no prominent person available, so I'll have to do it myself. Number 3. Movement. Here it should be fairly obvious that the bottom 3 are selected for questionable design choices, not how useful they are. A high movement value is clearly of importance, but how well is it implemented? Don't worry, this will not be yet another rant about the circle, triangle and square confusion. 1.5 years later, we don't need to bring that up again. But it does have a slight connection. The stat is given in a unit of circle, which is 2. I assume that this is to narrow down the span of available values and in essence, turn the value into low, normal and high mobility. I cannot get that, but as the movement isn't limited to increments of 2 inches, it kind of loses its point. As soon as you don't make a movement that happens to be exactly 3 stretches of 2-inch movement, you always have to translate into 6 inches total and count from there. It is a rather small inconvenience, but still kind of an unnecessary one. We can just write 6. That would also bring a wider span available, and I think this would open for some useful variation without being too hard to balance. Thus, the current solution makes it to number 3. Number 2. Group activation. Why is it even a stat? In my view, the stats are part of the inner core of the game. The part that you want to keep as tight as possible. And yet here we have a stat that I want to put in perspective. In the compendium, which might not be as relevant as it used to be, but still, it is the largest single collection of teams. There we have 74 different operatives. Of these, 8 have a group activation that is not 1. Of the same 74 operatives, 11 have the icon bearer ability. Sure, the icon bearer is a binary value, but of all the group activations, no one has anything else than 2, which pretty much makes it binary as well. Group activation could just as well be an ability. Therefore, it is my number 2. Number 1. If I think that group activation is unnecessary as a stat, you have probably already guessed that I think defense is even worse. I am aware that at least 2 of the Gallowpox operatives now have a defense value of 2, but apart from that, there are no operatives where this value deviates. If group activation could be an ability, deviating defense could be as well. The line in the core rules reads, "The defender collects their defense dice and rolls them. Their defense dice are a number of d6 equal to the target's defense characteristics." This could just be replaced with the defender rolls 3d6. And the little pesky Gallowpox could have their own notation of being deviant. But to be quite fair, it is a reasonable thing to put in a stat line. I suppose that the initial intention was to use it more, probably as a range between 2 to 4, But while writing my own rules, I'm well aware that variations in the core cause huge ripples. The number of dice in defense greatly affects the outcome of shooting, and shooting is obviously a main theme in Kill Team. Perhaps the simplest way to keep the balance was simply to freeze at 3, and only vary the attack dice. It is very nice to see that something has left the comfort zone without the roof exploding, but because of its general lack of application, it is still my number 1. So, those were my bottom 3 Kill Team stats. You might have something to add or actually want to disagree. That's just fine. I still thank you for watching, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy your hobby.